This was never supposed to be said out loud. For years, the world believed one thing, that Prince Harry would stand by Meghan Markle no matter what. Through scandals, royal fallout, brutal headlines, and non-stop public pressure, he stayed loyal, silent, protective, unbreakable. But what he just admitted changes everything. Because this time, Harry didn't defend. He didn't redirect. He didn't soften the truth. He cracked it open. And the final detail? It suggests the story we've been watching for years may have been carefully rewritten.
Surprise, surprise, it was Meghan Markle.
For the longest time, Harry was the picture of devotion. The prince who walked away from the crown for love. The husband who absorbed the blows, while Meghan stood at the center of every storm.
Harry is refusing, it seems, to play along with Meghan Markle's games, and that's proven, especially for me, with this staged Dodgers video that has just been released.
Every narrative painted him as the shield, the man who chose exile over tradition, loyalty over legacy. But now something has shifted. In what insiders are calling his most unfiltered moment yet, Harry finally spoke, not as a royal, not as a symbol, but as a man who sounds like he's only now realizing what he gave up, and who may have benefited most from that sacrifice.
When they were at the softball and the kiss cam came on. And a lot of people have commented on this, but I want to comment on the specific technique. And the
people close to him say this wasn't rehearsed, it wasn't approved, and it wasn't meant to go viral. It happened last week at a private wellness summit in California. An event focused on men's mental health. Low cameras, minimal press, a controlled environment.
So, I miss the UK. I miss parts of the UK, of course I do. And I think that it's really quite sad that I won't be able to show, my children my homeland.
Until one question slipped him through that cut far deeper than expected. Have you ever felt like you lost yourself in love? Harry froze. Witnesses say his expression changed instantly. The smile dropped, his shoulders stiffened. And after a long pause, he exhaled. Not theatrically, but like someone releasing something they've been holding in for years. I did, he said quietly. There was a time I didn't recognize the man in the mirror anymore. I thought I was finding freedom. But sometimes freedom can look a lot like a cage. The room went silent. Those words didn't just land, they detonated. Within hours, the clip flooded social media. Commentators slowed it down. Analysts dissected his tone. Psychologists weighed in. Royal watchers knew immediately. This wasn't abstract, this wasn't philosophical, and it definitely wasn't accidental. Freedom can look like a cage. Everyone knew exactly who and what he was talking about. Behind palace walls and Montecito gates, sources say this moment was the result of months of pressure building quietly. Not a single argument, not one explosive fight, but a slow realization forming in Harry's mind, piece by piece. According to insiders close to the Sussex Circle, the cracks had already been widening during the collapse of their Netflix ambitions. Meghan pushed forward. More projects, more visibility, more control of the narrative. Harry, meanwhile, wanted the opposite. Peace, silence, space. He's exhausted, one source said bluntly. He's tired of being the voice, the shield, the symbol, the man who always agrees. For years, Harry believed he was rescuing Meghan, protecting her from an institution he viewed as cruel and suffocating. But now, quietly and painfully, that belief has begun to invert. He's starting to wonder if he was never the savior, but the one slowly being erased. And that realization hasn't come easily, as Harry watches his old world continue without him. His brother settled, his father focused on legacy, the monarchy adapting. He finds himself suspended in a strange in-between. No longer royal, not fully free. Surrounded by luxury, yet increasingly isolated. Insiders say Meghan, sensing the shift, has tightened her grip. Projects, appearances, messaging, even who Harry speaks to, everything they claim now passes through her filter, driven by fear that he might go off script again. And that's exactly what he did. Because moments after the summit clip went viral, chaos reportedly erupted behind the scenes. PR calls, media damage control, urgent messages to organizers. But it was already too late. The internet had a name for it. Harry's slip of truth. And for the first time in years, when confronted about it, Harry didn't retreat. Since then, the pattern has become impossible to ignore. Fewer joint interviews, more solo appearances, a quieter, heavier presence. Friends say he's withdrawn, reflective in a way they've never seen before. One former military friend described it chillingly. He used to be the loudest one at the table. Now he just stares into his glass like he's somewhere else. And then came the line that stopped that friend cold. "Sometimes," Harry admitted, "I miss being invisible." Think about that. A man who traded a palace for privacy, now wishing he could disappear entirely. That's when it becomes clear. The freedom Harry chased may have become the very thing that trapped him. The deals, the interviews, the global exposure that promised liberation, but demanded performance. And as this story continues to unfold, one truth is becoming harder to ignore. This wasn't a single moment. It wasn't a mistake. It was the beginning of something finally breaking through the surface. What once looked like freedom now feels like a cage made of gold and guilt. And according to insiders, Meghan can see it happening in real time. Harry is unraveling, slowly, visibly, publicly. But what's truly alarming to those around them isn't that the marriage is struggling. It's what Meghan is choosing to protect. Sources say her focus right now isn't saving the relationship, it's saving the brand. Because this new version of Harry, the honest one, the reflective one, the man finally speaking without permission, is dangerous. Not emotionally, strategically. One Hollywood insider put it bluntly, if Harry keeps talking like this, the illusion collapses. And once it cracks, there's no rebuilding it. That raises the question no one wants to ask out loud. Is this the beginning of the end? Because Harry isn't just sharing feelings anymore, he's exposing structure, control, identity loss. The price of love when it's tangled up with power, cameras, and contracts. And the most unsettling part, he's doing it where it can't be contained. In public. Every sentence feels like a test. Every pause feels intentional, like a man cautiously checking whether he's allowed to exist outside the script. And judging by what happened next, the answer from Montecito was a hard no. If Harry's quiet confession at the Wellness Summit sent shockwaves through the Sussex world, Meghan's reaction turned those tremors into a full-scale earthquake. The clip exploded online within minutes. Millions of views, endless replays, comment sections filling faster than anyone could manage. Insiders say Meghan went into immediate crisis mode, phones ringing non-stop, advisors scrambling, messages firing off in all directions. One source described the scene inside the Montecito mansion as chaos. Meghan pacing barefoot across marble floors, phone clenched in her hand, voice raised, orders flying. Get it taken down. I don't care how. Call everyone. But there was nothing to stop. Because those words, freedom can look a lot like a cage, had already burned themselves into the internet. No retraction, no clarification. No carefully worded joint statement could erase them. For years, Meghan had controlled the narrative with precision. Every appearance, every soundbite, every angle. This time, she lost the script. And according to people close to the couple, that loss of control hit harder than anything before it. Meghan confronted Harry the moment he returned home. What followed, insiders say, wasn't a disagreement. It was one of the most explosive arguments they've ever had. She accused him of betrayal, of making her look manipulative, of turning her into the villain in his story. One source claims Meghan told him outright that he had destroyed everything they worked for, that his words painted her as controlling, calculated, and cold, that he handed the tabloids exactly what they wanted. But this time, Harry didn't retreat. For the first time in years, he didn't apologize. He didn't soften it. He didn't back down. "I didn't destroy anything," he reportedly said. "I just told the truth." 6 words. That was all it took. According to insiders, the room went dead silent before Meghan stormed out, slamming the door so hard it shook the chandelier. But the real explosion wasn't just inside that house, it was everywhere else. Online, the reaction was instant and brutal. Royal watchers dissected every frame. TikTok analysts broke down his tone, his posture, his pauses. YouTube channels lit up with breakdowns. Twitter threads ran for miles. They all landed on the same conclusion. Harry is finally cracking. Even the British press, the very machine Harry spent years fighting, sensed blood in the water. Morning headlines were merciless. Cryptic confession, trouble in paradise, freedom or regret. The Sussex fairy tale unravels. And yet something strange happened. Harry didn't look angry. According to a close friend, he looked relieved, as if saying it out loud had lifted something he'd been carrying for years, like admitting the truth, even partially, allowed him to breathe again. The friend described it as a man finally acknowledging that this wasn't the life he thought he was choosing. But Meghan wasn't about to let that version of the story take hold. Within hours, she launched full-scale damage control, calling in favors, leaning on sympathetic journalists, feeding carefully crafted narratives to select outlets. Articles began appearing almost immediately. Harry is fragile. Harry is exhausted. Harry was misunderstood. Harry didn't mean it like that. The spin was fast, polished, ruthless. But it wasn't working, because the clip didn't need interpretation. It spoke for itself. And when Meghan's team tried to push the idea that the couple was stronger than ever, the internet pushed back harder. Comment sections filled with the same verdict over and over again. He looks miserable. She's protecting herself, not him. This isn't love, it's control. The more they tried to smooth it over, the worse it looked, because behind closed doors, sources say the tension hasn't eased. It's thick, constant, unavoidable. Harry, once the loudest voice in the room, has grown quiet, withdrawn, thoughtful, and that silence, that internal shift, might be the most dangerous thing of all, because once someone starts waking up, they don't usually go back to sleep. Friends say Harry has become noticeably withdrawn, not angry, not dramatic, just quiet. He spends long stretches alone, wandering the garden late at night or sitting motionless by the fireplace, staring into nothing. According to people close to him, he's stopped answering calls from several of Meghan's Hollywood contacts. The glamorous social circle that once defined their California life, he's quietly stepping away from it, and that distance is intentional. One insider put it bluntly, he finally realized how isolated he'd become. No family nearby, no old friends left in his daily life. For years, the only consistent voice guiding his choices was hers. That realization, sources say, hit him like a tidal wave. Because once the illusion cracks, once you start questioning what's real and what's been shaped for you, you can't unsee it. That's when Harry started doing something no one expected. He began reaching out, quietly, carefully, not to tabloids or public figures, but to people from his past, old army friends, a former palace aide who had always looked out for him. These weren't calls about reconciliation or headlines. They were about grounding, about remembering who he was before the noise, before the deals, before the cameras turned his life into a performance. At the same time, Meghan was unraveling. Public sentiment was shifting fast. Netflix momentum slowed. Spotify was already gone, invitations dried up. And the one constant she thought she could rely on, Harry's unquestioning loyalty, was no longer guaranteed. Insiders say she began planning what they call a counteroffensive, a glossy, high-profile magazine feature designed to reset the narrative once again. The goal? Reposition herself as misunderstood, targeted, a woman unfairly blamed and battered by misogyny and misinformation. But this time it didn't land. Hollywood didn't rush to defend her. Former allies stayed silent, fashion editors, talk show hosts. Even A-list friends kept their distance. The sympathy that once wrapped around Meghan like armor had faded into something far colder. Silence. And in that silence, sources say, she began to crack. One staff member claims they overheard her late one night on a call, voice breaking, saying, "I gave up everything for him, everything, and now he's making me look like the villain." But here's the truth no one was saying out loud. Harry wasn't trying to destroy her. He was trying to find himself. That same week, Harry attended a private veterans gathering in Santa Barbara. No cameras, no press, no Meghan. Just a quiet room filled with people who knew him before the royal exit, before the documentaries, before the California sunshine turned his life into an illusion of freedom. Witnesses say Harry was emotional, at one point openly tearful. He told the group something that stayed with everyone in the room. "You don't realize how lost you are until someone takes the compass away." Then he added, quietly, "I thought I was doing the right thing, but somewhere along the way, I stopped being me." That admission spread through the veteran community fast, not as gossip, but as concern. The vulnerability of a man who had spent years under relentless scrutiny finally showing through. And this is where everything comes full circle. Shortly after, a journalist with deep royal connections dropped what can only be described as the final truth bomb. Behind the scenes, Harry has been quietly working with a publisher on a new personal project. One Meghan did not approve. Not a documentary. Not a memoir aimed at headlines. Something far more dangerous. A raw, deeply personal project centered on his identity, not theirs. Exploring how love, loyalty, and sacrifice can slowly erase who you are. People who've seen early excerpts describe it as shockingly honest. No filters, no spin, no shared narrative. For the first time, Harry isn't telling Meghan's story. He's telling his own. And that terrifies her more than any headline ever could. Because once the man she tried to control starts speaking for himself, The illusion collapses. The brand fractures. The fairy tale dissolves. And there's no way to put it back together again. Harry, for the first time in years, seems ready to let it fall. And that may be the most honest thing he's ever done. If this story shocked you, don't keep it to yourself. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and share this video. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters here. And before you go, check out the next video on your screen right now. There's more unfolding, and you won't want to miss what comes next.